This is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Hey, this is Governor Chris Christie from New Jersey. Good day, doctors.
Go! You're watching Dr. Politics.
Hello, everyone. It is Friday, November 15th, 2024. We're still excited about the election, a week plus later. I think there's a bit of enthusiasm in the air, and watching the left's heads explode every time President Trump makes a cabinet appointment. If we take a little trip back in time, I remember the left was praising how if Obama were to put Robert F. Kennedy at EPA, he'd be brilliant and perfect for the job. Now today that he's head of, he's been named as the designated Secretary of Health and Human Services, he's Satan incarnate. Excuse me, like I said. Anyways, but what's up with that? It's like they went apoplectic, when Matt Gaetz was announced as Attorney General. I don't think they've been enthusiastic about any of his appointments, frankly.
Well, I mean, this has been a mixed bag. Trump has. This is it. This is his. He's got 4 years. Yeah. I think he goes for broke.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely lined up the loyalists, and he's kind of thumbing his nose at everybody, saying like, these are the people I would like to see put in there. Now, obviously, he needs Senate confirmation for these people. They do have a 53-47 edge, but you do have this. You have Susan Collins and Murkowski who are they're kind of questioning it. I mean, I don't know if Gaetz is going to wind up being a sacrificial lamb for them, or whether or not they're going to try to use a recess appointment, which would be highly unusual in this particular case to do that. I'm not a Matt Gaetz fan, so the fact that he resigned from Congress, which basically ended the inquiry into all his potential shenanigans and stuff like that, activities. So that he's out of the, at the very least, he's out of Congress. The Attorney General, I don't know if he's even got a 50-50 shot, because I think there are other Republicans may join the Democrats. The Democrats will definitely be all in a line for that, and they get 4 votes. That's it. Gaetz is done.
Well, I'll tell you this: it's a little refreshing to see, because nobody made a thing when Joe Biden made his ridiculous appointments. Crazy people. From Mayorkas to Milley and so on. I think the president gets his picks. And I think he should have the cabinet he wants. Frankly, I wish he would have put. Burgum, I think, is a great choice for interior. I wish he would have put Lee Zeldin at DHS and put Kristi Noem over at EPA, or put someone else. I just think a lot of these people are in the wrong. They belong there, but they're like in the wrong job, so to speak. I don't know if Lee Zeldin has an environmental background, but he does have a security background. He would have been perfect at DHS, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I that's actually not a bad idea because I thought, when he said Christy Nome for Jesus, I thought, I don't know. I mean, when you're in the Dakotas like that, you're you're into energy and environmental regulation. These things. I think she'd be a much better fit there.
Yes,
I
exactly.
agree with you. I think you make a really good point. Zeldin, yeah. Also, Zeldin is a former member of Congress, security background. Yeah, that would make more sense.
Mhm.
You know, he's got some other picks in there that may or may not make it in there, but I mean, I think it's like a lot of other things. To him this time around, he's kind of throwing things up there and seeing what sticks. I think
Yeah.
a majority of these appointments will stick. There's definitely going to be, you're going to have 47 Democrats that'll be in unison, and they're going to try really hard to get Murkowski, Collins, and maybe some others to join them and block some of these other nominations. But I think under the Senate's advise and consent, there's going to be a limitation as to how many of these people they don't approve. So say Gates is the guy that they don't approve.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are the other ones will get approved.
Yeah.
And thank you, and thank you, Harry Reid.
Yeah. And by the way, all the scorn they're giving Pete Hegseth, if Pete Hegseth were a Democrat and a Democrat president appointed him, they'd be, oh, wow, look, he's going for the younger generation. He's passing the torch to the next generation. And now they're saying, they're calling him, it's like, being being a host of a news program is somehow supposed to be a disqualifier. Was it Tim Carney or Kane or whatever? Not Kane. Carney, I think was the guy's name. He was Joe Biden's chief of staff over when Obama was president. He went from MSNBC. He's not, it's like he was just another. It went on to become chief of staff. I mean, nobody said anything about it. He's just a TV personality. The attacks they're doing, are unfair.
Well, I think there's a difference. It's kind of like when you had Tony Snow and Dana Perino and people like that went into the White House. They weren't, they were somewhere in their element, right? I mean, Carney being a news person. I mean, chief of staff. I mean, that's fine, but Secretary of Defense. I mean, that's a mammoth responsibility.
Well, he is a veteran. He's a veteran. He's done a lot of stuff. I say this, give him a chance. Frankly, give him a chance. It's like he can't do any worse than the guy we have there right now. I know that's setting the bar pretty low, but Pete Hegseth would be better than the current defense secretary, frankly.
Well, and I think that nominating Gates might actually help Hegseth because to my point, if they just if they're aiming their knives at Gates, then Hegseth, they might go ahead and let him get by. Since we only need 51 votes overall. Now the key of all these things is that they have to get out of they've got to get the committee votes to get to the floor, and if the committee does not advance that nomination, that's it. So though I'm sure that Trump has got some other people waiting in the wings. I mean, he's looked at he's got a bunch of other people that he's putting into DOJ, and I think some of those are his backups. Is like if Gates fails, I've got 2, 3, 4 people who I could possibly nominate right away and just fix that and everything. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch to see whether or not the Republicans will be able to get all these nominees through the Senate and get them confirmed. 51 votes is not a lot, but 51 votes, with the makeup of the Republican Senate that we have now, is not a guarantee. So
there's still a lot of appointments. He has like Department of Education. I think there's only one person It'll drive the teachers' unions nuts, but I think Governor Orlick would be ideal for that job. With all the stuff he did when he was in Maryland, when he was governor of Maryland, charter schools were unheard of until Governor Orlick was governor of Maryland. The teachers' unions will have their knives out for him if he's nominated. But I think he'd be an ideal. I think he'd be better than Betsy DeVos, frankly. And I think, Betsy, she's good, she's great, but I think she's been there, done that. I think Bob Ehrlich would be ideal for it. He's had his younger son went to public school, so he is in tune and has his finger on the pulse of what parents would want and what's best for education, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ehrlich would be fine. I don't even know if he's even on Trump's radar. DeVos, I just always felt that was just the political payback for support. She was not going to be necessarily a great person.
I would like to see DeVos. It's a shame because the DeVos family is synonymous with Amway, right? And I was hoping she would have come up with an idea for PTAs to raise money by joining Amway for PTA fundraisers. I mean, come on, Betsy. I mean, this job's only around for 8 years at the most. You gotta, keep the bucks rolling in with Amway. Just think of all the new diamonds and emeralds and whatever you would have gotten if you had told the PTAs to start Amway chapters to raise money for the kids. But I think, who'd be another, and this would be like very, very true appointment. If you were to appoint Larry Hogan ambassador to South Korea for the sole purpose, you get him. It's kind of like how Gorbachev in his memoir said he should have given Boris Yeltsin an ambassadorship and put him on a plane and sent him out of the country. You sent Larry to South Korea. He's not going to have 4 years to badmouth you on television. While if he's here, he'll go on to MSNBC. The media will all rush to him. They're not going to rush to him if he's an ambassador.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, and I think because Larry's married to a Korean, that actually wouldn't be a horrible choice.
No,
at all.
And he's got the ties and relationships, with the South Koreans. They sent us all those masks. What else? They sent us a couple things during the pandemic. I think, and
yeah. I mean, look. I mean, Secretary of Education. You got to think about people who, who, kind of like you're talking about there. People who are involved, kind of in the school choice movement or things like that. Kind of the Jeannie Allen types or things like that as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which would, as you said, the teachers unions would go nuts, and I think that's exactly what we want. Is someone who is not going to be anywhere close to kowtowing to that at all. So that'll be a really interesting pick there to see if they find someone that can really kind of upset the establishment. These teachers unions. Maybe look at somebody who's in higher education at a conservative college or university, anywhere from a provost or a dean or even a president, to bring them in and say, we'd love to have you do this because you've done such a great job at your school, and we know that you're not with woke policies.
Yep. And I think it's, for education, another good person I think would be good for education would be actually Jeannie Allen would be really good as an education secretary. For obvious reasons, I think Governor Ehrlich would be a better education secretary than Jeannie Allen. They'd be, I think the innovative stuff. And I think the one thing is, we don't have to, as Bob being educated, we wouldn't be forcing things down so much as we'd be giving more. The Republican worldview thing is bottom up opposed to top down, which is the Democrats top down. And I think this could actually go a long way to taking out the wokeness that was mandated by Biden's Department of Education. I think that would be a good move on that front, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, we can always hope that we'll find Trump will pick someone along those lines
Yeah,
to fill that slot.
yeah.
And,
You
and
know, it'd be good. Even like a Republican Board of Education member, like Corinne Frank, or somebody like Corinne Frank. We're going to keep Corinne in Maryland, by the way. But somebody like a Corinne Frank, I tell you, if Phyllis Schlafly were around, she would be my first pick for Education Secretary. She would be phenomenal as Education Secretary if she were around.
yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing.
Or
That's why
even our old friend Lori Cole would be good at education too. But I mean, I think it's good. But I think these like education, those like tier 2 appointments for these aren't the important ones. Those aren't super important as the ones he's been doing. And I think Marco at state is a good choice. I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean at least I think he's picking people too. I mean they're going to be good in their slots, the ones he's pulling out of Congress, and
but that's a dangerous road to go down.
They won't lose those seats either. They should be able to. They should be able to replace them with Republicans.
Well, we should have lost Georgia 4 years ago, but we lost both of those Senate seats.
Yeah, but I mean, the governor can. But then again, DeSantis can appoint someone, find a good person and appoint someone to fill out Rubio's term once Rubio's confirmed, for Secretary of State, and fill out his term, and then that person can then decide whether or not they're going to run for a full term after that. Congress. That depends upon the state law in terms of when the special election needs to be called. But I think Stefanik and Waltz. I think they've been winning their seats pretty comfortably. So I think those are okay. They have to. Trump also has to be strategic in that if he wants to pluck people out of Congress, he's got to pluck them where they're not going to lose the seat to the Democrats.
And I'll tell you this, I think a good choice for Surgeon General would be Congressman Andy Harris. That's a safe seat, and I think Andy would be a great Surgeon General. He'd be awesome for the job, frankly.
You're not showing any Maryland bias at all in these selections.
No, I'm not at all, not in the least bit. I tell you, I think when he starts getting to ambassadors, Congressman King would be a great ambassador to Ireland. I think he'd be a wonderful ambassador. I think there's a lot of I think I really wish Vivek would run for because we've got an open Senate seat now in Ohio. It'd be nice if the governor would appoint Vivek for that Senate seat, frankly.
Yeah, he could. I mean, if Vivek is he's a resident of Ohio, is that what you're saying?
Yep. He'd be a good fill-in for J.D. Vance's Senate seat, frankly. I think, but I don't know if he's named him yet, but I heard rumors Kash Patel will be head of FBI, and I was going through this. Somebody goes, I forget the channel I was kind of cruising through on YouTube. Some guy goes, Kash Patel, head of Trump's secret police. I'm like, the FBI is not. If you want to know what secret police, it's Joe Biden's DOJ had their secret police, do these clandestine operations of raids on the opposition. See, I think that's the biggest fear the left has is that they're gonna be going after via lawsuits and so on. And people are going to be. I wish DOJ would have opened up an investigation on Angela Alsobrooks. Frankly, as soon as she's sworn in, let's start investigating her. She had not paid her taxes, and rumor has it she didn't pay. There's some federal taxes she didn't pay. So I think we need the American people have a right to know if their senators are crook.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And I think. The fact that I think Larry Kudlow will probably end up in his administration somewhere. Steve Moore will probably be in the administration somewhere. You know, but I think I'm all in all, I'm happy with the picks that the president's been making. It's like he's been hitting them out of the park, so to speak, and it's always. I never really watched MSNBC, but it's always fun to watch them in the morning because they're just like they're so depressed. And for all those Democrats who were sad that Kamala did not win, you still have your health. You still have your careers for the most of them. But if MSNBC is purchased, they would probably going to lose because Comcast is spinning out MSNBC, so they won't even be able to use the NBC name or the Peacock anymore, which I think is not a horribly bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things about this cabinet appointments or the nominations at this point is just that Trump is basically just announcing them sometimes on social media or at Mar-a-Lago and
Yeah.
this. There's it's not kind of been your more traditional, you have a press conference or you introduce them at some more formal thing in front of the press. They're just popping out all over the place. All of a sudden, it's a post on X or True Social or something like that or whatever. So he's just kind of letting it rip, because as he sees fit, and kind of got people's heads spinning in terms of what's going on there. But and the Democrats, I mean, they've got about they've got 2 months to stew about this, before everything starts to happen. I mean, the Senate, I guess they'll get sworn in. In Congress, they'll get sworn in early January. The president gets sworn in, third week of January.
Yep, the 20th. Yep.
And then sometime after that, the Senate will convene and start to go through the nominations. So that some of those nominees will face little or no opposition and will fly through, just sail right through. And others, it may be a little bit closer vote. We'll have to wait and see. But as I said before, I mean, Trump is this is almost kind of like a take no prisoners thing. It's like,
oh yeah,
these are the people I want. Give them to me, and we're just we're going to see how many of these people actually make it through the whole Senate process. But I mean, I'm glad they've got 53 votes because if they had wound up with 51, it would have been pretty tough.
Yeah.
50,
and we got JD Vance, so it's kind of like 54, frankly.
It still gives them a chance. So,
and then you have Wiley Nichols, Wiley Nickel, congressman from some, I think he's from North Carolina, 13th district. I think he's going to be losing re-election in 2 years. I didn't have that prediction. He wants to do a shadow cabinet, and he was on the floor with taxpayer-funded graphics from government printing office, about how Adam Schiff is going to be the shadow attorney general, and it's like just get over it, you people. You lost, we won.
What is that? Are we Great Britain or something all of a sudden?
Yeah, I guess we're turning into an empire. But it's like goes on, and they're so. I mean, honestly, I wish we did Operation Warp Speed to find a vaccine for Trump derangement syndrome, which is a variant of Bush derangement syndrome, which is a variant of Bush 41 derangement syndrome, which is a variant of the Reagan derangement, and which is a variant of the Nixon derangement syndrome. Basically, it should just be called Republican derangement syndrome. We would have to keep renaming it every time we have a Republican president, frankly.
Well, if you thought that Trump derangement syndrome was bad, when under Trump's first term, it's going to be a lot worse this time around because it's like they know that he's not coming back, and so they can just unleash it all. But as you said, I mean, the liberals' heads have been exploding, since the election. They can't, they're just falling all over themselves, right? To point finger, it's like, who's to blame on this? Is it Joe Biden? Is it Kamala Harris? Is it the strategy? I mean, is it something else? So we're getting a wide range of opinion. I mean, the ones that are saying that it isn't Kamala's fault, I'm like, you really need to have your head examined if you don't think that she is not to blame for this. She is not a good candidate. She didn't distinguish herself on the campaign trail at all. If you're going on national television and you're being asked what would you do differently, and you said, I can't think of anything I would do differently. It's like, you're not ready for this job. You are definitely not ready for this job. She never faced the press in a press conference, right?
Yeah.
She had some interviews that they did. I mean, they spent, what was it, over $100,000 or more, to build the set so she could do Call Your Daddy, and then she didn't go on Joe Rogan. Trump goes on Joe Rogan. I think it's like 45 plus million viewers on the on the broadcast, and then I think another 20 million or so listening to it. So this was huge. I mean, Rogan even endorsed Trump, and Rogan is not a big Trump guy or anything like that. So they made so many missteps, and then that report, that they went and they paid those celebrities, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're so genuine for support for Kamala.
And they turned. I mean, Oprah got paid to do that interview. And,
yeah, I mean, her. They said they paid her.
But
her
as she's walking
company
to her Range Rover ICE vehicle, it was not an EV; it was a Range Rover ICE vehicle, which she was getting into.
But, I mean, if you
I'll be right back, Don. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, if you can't genuinely, get these celebrities to come out and support you without having to being paid big bucks, then what the heck is going on here? That's just really ridiculous that the campaign went and spent all that money.
Yeah, these people that are very out of touch, and they believe their own press. That's what
and you're right. I mean, the thing is too is that was one of the arguments for it too, right? Is that some of this post-mortem is like we're out of touch with the public. We didn't connect with the public.
It's not their fault. Is what they see. That's what they're coming us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like they want to keep her alive in the sense of maybe that she'll be a more viable candidate in 2028. But I mean, Hillary stuck around for a while before she got trounced by Trump. But I don't know. I mean, I think the way this campaign went, that if you're the Democrats, you need to look in another direction. You for 2028, we've talked in Maryland during our elections, after we go through this, and Republicans win very little, very few races, in Maryland overall. We're a real minority, but we always talk about candidate recruitment. We got to start running now for the election 4 years from now. And there's no doubt on a national scale, I think, that everybody's looking at this, particularly when you've got Trump being term limited out, that's going to be an open seat again, right? So, you look at it, Democrats, find somebody from your bench or develop somebody. You got to hurry and do that. Kamala Harris, I don't think she's viable. Gavin Newsom, that'd be terrible.
I think they need to lose again, frankly, before they have their moment where they say, hey, because remember they did that with Mondale and Dukakis, and then they finally got maybe we should have somebody that's not just such a crazy liberal. We'll have that womanizer Bill Clinton run for president.
Certainly not Tim Walz running for president 2028, right?
He would be the second coming of Walter Mondale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For so many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you look around. It's like, the Democrats are still they're still thin on their bench.
Mhm.
For who they want.
They don't have any Bill Clinton type politicians, that can kind of walk the center, so to speak, and go back to the real center. I mean, what's happened is over the years, people who were centrists or even slightly left of center are now considered right. They're like, what do you call? They're basically right. They're now considered right. I mean, Joe Lieberman was left of center. He's today considered a right wing. Pat Moynihan, right of center. Bill Bradley, right of center. Sam Nunn, right of center. All these guys would be considered Republicans today.
Yeah, no, I mean there's been such a big shift in the way the Democrats they've chased their moderates, their blue dog, coalition has all but gone extinct as a result of the progressive policies that the Democrats have adopted, nationwide. You certainly don't want to have someone out of the Bernie Sanders mold running. That's not going to fly. The progressive kind of had their moment in the sun there, right? I mean, Bernie attracted a lot of attention. AOC attracted a lot of attention. The squad, but the squad started to fall apart a little bit.
The squad's shrinking. You got two of them lost their primaries.
Yeah, so you have that, and with that in effect, you're like, okay, where are we really going to go here? We thought we had some momentum, but we don't really have momentum. I mean, look, even Vermont went, Republicans took a bunch of seats in the state house, and so the Vermont legislature is no longer a supermajority. All right. Those are the kinds of you want to make those kinds of gains and build upon those kinds of gains. We would love to see Maryland get back on another wave where we can go and take out some of these Democrats in the state legislature and make that competitive and make it so that the Democrats can't just ramrod legislation down our throats, where and the governor just signs off on it and it's done, and we all pay the price for all these progressive policies that the Democrats keep foisting down on us every session. So
what should be and what should really be terrifying the Democrats? Colorado was not a runaway. 54-43. It's not really a super runaway. 45-51. New Mexico, New Jersey. This is the one that should be scaring them. 51-46. New York, 55-45. I mean, there's something. If you cannot, these are that's your that's the other blue wall. And I tell you, if they keep going these woke agenda, I can see in 2028, Colorado, New Mexico, and New York will be in play for the Republicans.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the strategy to be going up there into New York and New Jersey was really good because they were able to make some progress. I mean, New York was going to be really problematic for the Republicans in Congress because of the redistricting that had taken effect and had basically put Republicans in danger. And I think that by going in there, by scooping up those votes and increasing their percentage in there, that mitigated the losses in New York overall. Yeah. So that the Republicans, I mean, they're going to have a very thin majority, maybe a little thinner than the one they currently have, for this last Congress. So, but it could have been a lot worse in New York. And California didn't quite turn out like the Democrats had hoped either. So, the Democrats' hopes were dashed in several different places, and several incumbent Democrats lost. They were upset in other places that have helped offset the Republican losses that we took in New York and places like that. So, if Republicans can be at anywhere between 220 and 222, even though that's still a thin majority, I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. When you have a speaker set long as Hakeem, I think the cough is catching. I had a dry throat.
And if something got into my throat, all of a sudden I'm like, then I was like, oh no, I'm becoming like Dwight.
Yeah, I know. It's like with the, you know what it is? I think because we all, I think
We're not even in the same room.
I know. And I think everyone turned on the finally turned their heats on. And I think that because of all the dust sitting in there. Then again, theoretically, the dust has not been sitting there because we had the ACs going until recently. But
our weather flips that we keep getting, but
and where I am, I got the vents above my head. There are 2 here and 2 back there. So it kind of blows down, which is a little different than traditional. But I do find it keeps the room a lot warmer when the heat's coming from the top, which is weird. It shouldn't be that way.
Well, for us old folks, I mean, until I really think actually, yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess when I moved to the house in '85, we had some overhead, and it was news to me, kind of thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this house here, like we're talking about that. So I've got a vent over there, but yeah, and everything down here in the in the basement where I'm at, it's all overhead. Even in my bedroom, it's overhead. Main living area, there's some ones on the floor, but that was all we knew really, right? Is like you just expected to see the vents, the ducts, the registers being right on the floor, and now you've got a whole bunch of ones here. But I know during the summer, it's nice to have them like right over my bed because it's like put that AC there, I get a nice cool,
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah,
That's very much appreciated in Florida.
it probably is more efficient of forcing the air down rather than forcing the air up.
Yeah. It's kind of like the top bottom refrigerators. They say, they run better, but honestly, I just don't like those top bottom. I like to give me a side by side. I don't like the French doors. I don't, because I just think you don't have enough room in the freezer when you've got the top bottom or the bottom top freezers, frankly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my daughter's got the top bottom one, and the thing I don't really like about it is just that you open up this big drawer, this big thing, and then you're like, what's in here?
Digging for stuff, yeah.
Yeah. At least with side by side, even if you stuff it through your stuff, you're at eye level with a lot of things, and you can kind of get an immediate idea. It's like, here's the stuff I want to see, and all of that. So yeah, I really like it, but they're popular. I mean, you can say that for lots of different things. Do you like the front loading washer or the top loading washer, right? Which are because the front loading washers have become very popular, but I grew up with we always
the top,
lid.
Well, I think the advantage of the top is doesn't you forget to throw something in the washer and it's already started, you can still open the door and throw it in, right? While the front, you can't do that. Although now Whirlpool has come up with one where there's a door on the door that you can pull open and throw it in that way. But I don't know how leak prone it's.
Yeah, and I think it was LG that had, I don't know if they were still making them or not, but they had those kind of smart refrigerators, and they had like the little screen on them and everything like that.
Yeah, they still make those.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know. I think that's one more thing that can go wrong with your refrigerator.
Yes.
I don't think that's the right place to put it. Refrigerators have enough problems with just keeping your ice maker running. It's like, why do you need more Why do you need any more electronics or anything like that to do that?
Why do I need Wi-Fi? Why do I need Bluetooth and Wi-Fi for my refrigerator? It's like they have those. My thoughts are why would you want that? Wow. On the other hand, I'm able to with the side-by-side refrigerators is what do you call the biggest problems? Side-by-sides are actually the perfect refrigerators. The bottom ones, the ice is stored up above. It's stored up above where you have temperature is different. So you got to keep that air colder. So that's what causes those ice makers to break, And I don't know if I feel comfortable buying an LG or a Samsung refrigerator. I tell you, give me a KitchenAid, a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire. I don't think Amanda makes refrigerators anymore.
Yeah, I mean, look, so my wife is Korean, but we don't put Korean. We don't have any Korean products in terms of the kitchen stuff in our kitchen, right? I mean, it's all that our dishwasher is Bosch, right? Because they make a great dishwasher.
Yes, they do.
We're on our second Bosch, and we love it though. It thanks to the new energy saving features, the way they do it, it takes to do the kind of wash that it takes 3 hours for those dishes to wash. It's like, this is nuts. I mean, the last Bosch we had, it was like 1 hour and 45, and this is like 3 hours. This is crazy. I mean, it's like, this is where you have this. You're like, okay, I turn it on and set it. It's got the little red light that shines on the floor, so it's on and running and everything like that. It's pretty darn quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I mean, they are a lot quieter than the dishwashers when I was growing up. They were like loud.
Yeah. I mean, the dishwashers of the old days they were pretty darn noisy. But
even the loud ones today are not that loud.
Yeah.
Pretty,
but when you're talking, Dwight, about what do I need a Wi-Fi refrigerator? We had to get new ovens a few years ago, and actually it was right during the pandemic, and we were very lucky. We were able to find the top, because there are two of them, so they fit. They have to fit in that cabinet area, and we were lucky to be able to, after 15 years or whatever it had been, to be able to replace them with something that fit perfectly. We weren't even sure they were going to, but it did. But one of the things about the newer version is that you can hook it up to Wi-Fi, and I'm like, why do I want to do this? Why do you want to hook up your TV? If you hook up all these devices, including your nice television, to Wi-Fi, the one thing you are doing is that you're giving the manufacturer data on what's going on there, and that data can then be anonymized and sold, and that's basically that's what they do. So I have smart TVs. I don't connect them to the internet for firmware upgrades or anything like this. I mean, I'll do streaming off of them. They're on the home connection, but I'm not sending data back to the TV manufacturer.
Samsung doesn't need to know.
No, I mean that's they're hoping that you'll do that, because it's kind of like I will sell you a television for less if you promise to give me that data, because that data we can sell and make a lot more money than we can if we just rather but more than make up the difference on the discount that we give you.
Yep.
So I don't know. That makes me wonder. I haven't checked into that. Remember that television that launched? You get a free television, but you had to live with the ad screen.
Yeah.
I wonder how those guys are doing.
I don't know. It's like I think Best Buy has some really good deals on televisions. But if anybody's in the market, you get a 65-inch TCL television, which it's not a bad television, for $300. Yeah. I remember when plasmas came out, they're like $12,000-$15,000. And the plasmas, you couldn't lay them down flat. You had to keep them upright, when you're transporting them. You had special ways to put them in the box and stuff like that, So, yeah, you couldn't tilt it. LED TVs are great. But if anybody's in the market for a television, there is, Best Buy has some great deals. Costco's has a 180-inch television for like $1,200 or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a limit to how big you really need a television to be.
I thought about getting an 80-inch TV because it was relatively inexpensive, but I'm like, that's just way too big. I think I'd have to buy a new TV stand to put the TV on.
Well, you have. I mean, if you, depending upon what size television you have, it's like you buy a much bigger television, the chances are that if it's already been on a stand, you're going to need a different one to be able to hold the weight
Yep.
of the television. And people don't think about, just these little things that come up as like, oh, I can't just use this. No, because it's too heavy for that particular stand and everything. So, but I love my Sony televisions, and we'll keep this, the one we have now.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Sony. I really don't like their computers, the Sony Fios, when they used to make those. Those were horrible. Always breaking down. Always something would go wrong with them. That's what was happening with Sony Fios. I don't like their televisions. I think they're a little overrated. I think Sharp is a much better television. I don't even know if they make television anymore. Sharp was better than Sony, I thought. Sylvania, I thought, was better than Sony, too. And that's funny because I'm victim of that commercial Sylvania used to do, how, Sylvania beat Sony again, and then the Sony guy getting mad about it.
Yeah, but I think when you walk into Costco, you're mainly hit with LG and Samsung, I think.
Yeah, and they also have TCL and Hisense, and there's another off-brand. I think they got the Roku brand TV.
Yeah, and the Roku. Yeah, I mean the Roku. Yeah, So I mean, I think that's how the TCL Hisense thing came about too, though. I think, wasn't it, because they had a deal with Roku. So yeah, I mean, and as I think you were saying before, I mean, those televisions wind up being pretty cheap because they're trying to get ad dollars in return from you, in essence, by throwing these things out. We see so many ads now through streaming services. I was just checking the thing about that free television, the telly, that for someone who can't afford a television, you get a 55-inch television for free. You just have to keep running. You have to just let the ads run at the bottom of the screen. That may be less intrusive than watching, Amazon Prime with commercials that pop in, or any other streaming services where the commercials pop in, because they take over your entire screen.
Well, here's something that's funny. In Europe, in Great Britain, you could be watching a program, they'll have a little Lipton's or whatever commercial at the bottom, flash, they'll have it pop up at the bottom, buy Lipton's tea or whatever, and now basically, they'll just run below it. So they're feeding you commercials while you're watching the show. And then you have I just think, I don't know what it is, these commercials are just so much longer. They seem like they go on I know the Shriners, they got a great commercial, but it goes on for almost 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah, and like with Amazon Prime, you don't know whether or not you're going to get a 30-second commercial or a 2.5-minute commercial coming in.
And it's like you watch if you're watching, say, Antenna TV or Me TV or any of those, as I like to call them, the sub network channels that are digital, or even like channels like USA and the History Channel, Shriners. I see ACLU has a lot. It must be really cheap to advertise on those tier 2 digital channels, because ACLU, Southern Poverty Law Center, all these leftist groups are on there. Doing commercials. They have the Shriners and what's the other one? There's another charity like the Shriners. I'm trying to think. But they always do those commercials, and they're on there. Oh, the Heart Association. That's the other one. They do those commercials and those are like 2 minute, 2.5 minute long commercials. It's like, if you like TV Land, I think they just have I know it used to be 10 minutes of commercial for a 30-minute program. It seems like they've gone now. It might be 12 minutes, because I noticed like a lot of the shows, like Everybody Loves Raymond and so on, the King of Queens, it goes over the 30-minute mark because I think they're putting in more advertising, so it runs over. Or they have to trim the show down. And it's that's why nobody wants to watch television anymore, I think.
Yeah, I will say the streaming thing sometimes gets me because I signed back up for Paramount Plus because it was like
Hmm.
$30 for a year,
Yeah.
and and that's supposed to be with commercials. So I'm watching a few television programs like Blue Bloods or something like that, and they haven't thrown me a commercial yet in the month or so I've been back.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, that's good. It's like I'm basically getting premium service for the price of the ad-supported service.
Yeah.
Young is like on the Amazon Prime. She's like, oh, just pay them the extra $3 a month for the commercials. It's like, no, I just hate doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
it's like
I mean, Amazon Prime has Falcon Crest on there. That's the only place you can watch Falcon Crest, by the way. The first Mrs. Reagan was a nighttime primetime soap opera. Yeah. But Prime's actually got a lot of old stuff that you wouldn't figure would be on Prime, but it's there. You just have to dig into it.
well, and they're Amazon Prime. I give them credit. I mean, they're good about. Uh, they've got a lot of other channels in there where like the first season or the first few episodes of something are
Yeah.
free, and then you got to subscribe to those other channels, to pay for. Now, it benefits Amazon because Amazon's going to get a cut, just like if you're in the Apple store or whatever. They're going to take a cut for selling that subscription, but because I'll be like, oh, this looks interesting. It's like, oh, 7 days free, and then I got to pay for it. It's like, aha, another one of those. But they've got a ton of those that they do in there. Sometimes they even have, when we come up to Black Friday, they'll actually have some deals where you'll be able to get some of those channels for like $1 for 3 months.
I'm waiting for that to sign up for Peacock again because evidently Law and Order Organized Crime is not on broadcast. It's on Peacock only.
Yeah, I know. What I thought was when my Peacock was over on my bargain deal, for $20, I quit. But what I thought was interesting was that I didn't get an offer. I went online and canceled.
Yeah.
I did not get an offer to subscribe for a cheap rate. If they had said, hey, how about $30, I would have bit, on that. But they still wanted whatever, 60 or $70. I'm like, no. But yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see what happens on Black Friday to see whether or not they bring that back. If they can bring it back to under $30, I'll sign up again. I have canceled my Disney Plus though.
Yeah, hey, are stores opening up early, like Thursday night, like in years past, or are they kind of gone?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, people do so much online shopping, right? I mean,
I say, well, I used to love going out on Black Friday, the Thursday night, especially when I'd be in Florida because it's much more fun going out when it's 72 degrees outside.
Yeah, when it's not freezing. I've frozen my tail off with my young children, trying to get things. And I think now it's like, I don't miss those days of sitting in a long line and realizing that, when you're sitting, Best Buy is like, unless you like the first 10 people in line, you're not even going to get close to the bargains you're looking for.
But here's something funny. When I was at this has been probably the year my dad passed away in 2014. I was in Florida for Black Friday in Boca, and I'm like, I see Staples was opening up also. They're opening at 6 p.m. And I'm like, nobody better get between me and my paper. Like, there was a line for going to Staples, because they had the box of, what is it? How many packs of paper? Was it 12 packs of 12 reams of paper in the Xerox size box they had? That was going for like, they were selling it for a crazy low price of $5, I think is what it was. And Office Depot had one deal where if you spent so much, you'd get a box of paper. And
after the show's over, I have to take care of a Black Friday deal that popped into my inbox tonight. It's today only. And this is Cafe Rio where we go fairly frequently. They've got one of the best deals on gift cards of any restaurant we've ever been to. So their $25 gift card, you get a $10 bonus card, but
Uh-huh.
the $10 card is not one of those things that it's just like a regular gift card. You can use it immediately. It doesn't expire. That's what I always hate about, buy $25 gift card, you get a bonus card that's good for 60 days between these
Oh
days.
yeah,
I hate that.
yeah. I mean, right now there are they've got some really good deals. I'm not a big fan of Apple, but they've got a MacBook Air with the M2 chip for $749. But then there's what do you call? But I know Costco has that same book for $5.99 or something like that.
Yeah, so I need a case for my my iPad Air,
Mhm.
right? The new one I just bought.
Have you noticed how
And
expensive the cases are now? I think it's kind of like my dad's last car was a Mercedes Benz. He had I think it was it was probably like a '07, '08 or '10 S class, right? And you take it in for an oil change, they go, it's $149. My dad's like, well, my Cadillac used to be $39 for an oil change. He goes, yes, but this is a Mercedes. And the guy goes, the reason they do that is they go, if you can afford to buy a Mercedes, you can afford to pay the extra for that oil change. And I think that's how Apple and those screen manufacturers, hey, if you can afford to pay, then again, iPads aren't as expensive as they used to be. But it's like, well, are you going to really scoff at $50 for an iPad case? Yes, I will. Especially if right now, I think there's a deal at Microsoft for $299 for an iPad, which is a really good price. It's a 10th generation, I think, iPad. But it's like one of those things. I'm not going to pay another $50. I'll go buy an off-brand case off of Amazon that works just as well as theirs does. But you don't have to pay the $50 for it, And by the
yeah,
way, final thoughts.
yeah, before we go, I'm just going to say, that's the thing. Every time you buy a new, iPhone or iPad or whatever, you're invariably going to need a new case.
Yep.
If you want to buy the Apple one, you're going to pay through the nose. So you look for something else, So when we got our, I went from a 13 Pro to a 15, Pro Max, so I needed a new case, and my son Steven recommended some cases, that cost about $25.
Yeah.
But they give me good, they give me good protection, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing. But I'm waiting for the the iPad cases tend to be more expensive. So Black Friday is like I'm going to be scouring.
Well, look on Amazon actually has some really good cases you get for about $20 on Amazon. But honestly, does Apple really have to move their camera positions just enough that your old case won't work with it? I mean, that's a racket.
Well, yeah. So because this Air is supposed to be the same size as my previous iPad Pro, but it won't fit in the same case, right? It just is a little bit off, and I'm like, because it's just like, oh, that's just too bad. So, but I don't want to spend $50 or $60, for another Targus case. But I think when you come to Black Friday, I'll be able to pick up something relatively cheap that I like.
Yeah. And
yes. Well, that depends. I mean, buying the charging cables depends upon where we're going. I mean, now every time they switch from we've gone from the 30-pin connector to the Lightning connector, USB-C. So I think we're finally at the point where that's it. I do like wireless charging because I don't have to have as many cables, but there's still you have to have a few.
Yep. By the way, we blame Europeans for that. They're the reason.
Oh, I could go off on the European Union and how they just keep coming down on.
I know they're little junta tactics,
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're at final thoughts. Yeah.
Final thoughts.
Go, Don.
I didn't want to do that. Okay. Final thoughts. So Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to run this supposed Department of Government Efficiency. Love the fact that they've turned that into Doge. So every
Yeah.
time I think about it, I think of our good friend Jason Trott.
Yeah, probably he's going to be on. I think he said he's going to do the show next week or the week
Is
after
he?
next. Actually,
I just
yeah.
can't. Now, look. I mean, you got to be realistic about it. I mean, he's just like any. Musk is almost like a politician. It's like, we're going to cut $2 trillion. It's like, well, you've got 6 trillion to start with. You're going to cut 2 trillion. That's a pretty big number. It's a lot harder than you think. But the government does continue to expand on the size, and I do want to know, if we've got like 2 million federal workers around the country, what the heck are they all doing? There's no doubt in my mind.
I'll tell you, I know a lot at HHS. What they do is they're playing solitaire, social media, or they're shopping on Amazon, or talking to their friends. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, and some people have jobs, but they really don't have any responsibility. I think I think I alluded to this before. You kind of, at the very least, you need to kind of have the Bob Ehrlich strategy first. Is that you have unfilled positions? Don't fill them.
Yeah, and I think that's what they should do.
The chances are that most of those positions were wasteful to begin with.
Yeah, and honestly, you can offer early retirement and get rid of a lot of people that way, frankly. Offer early retirement, give them their full whatever they want, because if they're like if they're like 5, I want to say, I'd even say even if they're 10 years, if they're like between 7 years away from their retirement date, give them the whole thing, get rid of them. That's the easier way to do it, And,
yeah, I mean that might work. I mean, I think you'd have to do the math to say, what's the point where giving them full retirement benefits to leave, and we never fill that, we eliminate that position. What is that? Where's that breaking point? Where's that whole thing there? But we've got to shrink the size of government. I mean, to have Biden add 120,000 jobs in under 4 years, this is not what we want. We as taxpayers, we do want smaller government. It would be a lot more efficient. I hope that Elon and Vivek can at least make some headway in there, but obviously they're going to have to deal with Congress and trying to get certain things done. But there may be some things, at least on the margins. Just keep pushing away, pushing at it, and I mean, Trump wants this thing wrapped up by July 4th, 2026. So they've got a definite timeline, but apparently that they're hiring. I don't know how many people they're going to hire, but but since there's an endpoint, that's a department that will actually go away at some point. It's not a federal agency, big federal agency, but yeah. Anyway, so we've got that. We saw Bitcoin go, hit record highs. Trump's talked about a Bitcoin reserve, which sounds a bit tricky to do. There's a lot of things he's promised that will never come to pass. And
my thoughts are, don't play with the speculative. Just keep the money in gold or T-bills and stuff like that. I'd rather tie some of the money to Wall Street, frankly. Wall Street's doing really well since he's been president.
Yeah.
Elect,
Yeah. They had some euphoria. It's faded off a little bit because there's signals from the Fed that it may not cut interest rates quite as fast as they thought it was. But there was a nice little run there for the first week or so. Elon definitely made a lot of money on paper thanks to that whole thing. And and then we've got the Senate race in Pennsylvania, which is going to automatic recount triggered. Casey won't give up, but I don't expect the result to change. I think Bob Casey is done for, and McCormick will take the seat. But
Bob Casey will be the new Al Gore. I won, but I stole it.
Look, I have never been a fan of the whole the 2020 stolen election and all this stuff that Trump and everybody else people, it's like we got to find these votes and do all these things. Okay, just kind of get along, move along, and deal with it. But because it puts you into the same boat as Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, Stacey Abrams,
deniers.
yeah, all the people who said who refused to say that they lost an election. It's like you're no better than these left-wing Democrats, liberal Democrats when you do that. And we are better than that. We're let's have faith in our government.
It's funny, when I was on News Nation election night, one of the guys goes, Bush stole it away from. I'm like, get over it. What are you, an election denier? I tell you, my favorite point of the evening is when I equated January 6th with illegal immigration. I go, how it's the exact same thing. Entering someplace illegally is a crime, no matter where it be. And they did not like that, and they shut up about January 6th the rest of the night.
And then I'll just say, continue. Wish you good luck on your race there for first vice chair. I see you putting out some more material there, so that's good. When's the convention?
Next Saturday, Friday and Saturday.
Okay, so it's coming up.
Yeah, I'm ready for Florida. I was like, I'm ready for Florida.
So that's it. I'll turn it over to you to finish.
Okay. Final thoughts, everyone. We are in the holiday season. Thanksgiving's coming up fast. If you have some extra canned goods, consider donating it to charity. Donate some canned peas, and don't just donate the canned food that you don't like. If you don't want to eat it, most people don't want to eat it anyways. But donate some canned foods, for charity. And don't forget, Montgomery County Republic Club's Christmas party, December 8th in Potomac, Maryland. It's a free event. We just ask you bring an unwrapped toy. An unwrapped toy for United States Marine Corps Toys for Tots campaign. You can have all the information about that on MontgomeryCountyRepublicClub.com, and you can sign up and RSVP just like Susan Baker and Craig Yoakum have done. Thanks guys for RSVPing, but I must say, it was we've got limited space, but we've got some room. We got a lot of people that signed up this week. We got, I think, 25 people that signed up this week. So we got room. So but it's going to fill up fast. So, and that is, and my other final thought is, so who are the Redskins fans going to blame now that they've started losing? Are they still blaming Dan Snyder for it? 2 games in a row they've lost. So.
Well, yeah. Look. The team had been really overachievers up to this point anyway. The last couple of games show that they've still got a lot of work to do, but the quarterback has been pretty good. This team has been remarkable, though. They've hardly turned the ball over at all, which is just phenomenal considering.
This might be their best quarterback since Joe Theismann, frankly.
That's their best quarterback in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go back to Joe Theismann to find a good, RG3 was supposed to be the future, but then when they found out he got outed as a Republican, they didn't want him around town, and also the injury prones also didn't help much.
Well, that was a tragic thing. It's like he should have gone onto the injury list. They should never have played him once he had that injury because that he never really fully recovered from that in his career. So
yeah. And that's it for my final thoughts, everyone. Get ready for the traffic deluge, which is the week from actually 2 weeks from now. It's going to be when we're going down. When you're going down, stay safe and so on. So, anyways, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.